Hello and welcome to the Learn to Play Trudvang video. My name is Eric Lang. I am the game director of CMON and one of the co-designers of Trudvang.
Hello, I'm Michael Shinall, the development manager for CMON Games.
And we are going to walk you through Trudvang. This is a special scenario that we made specifically to explain how to play the game. It is not going to be part of the core box. It is actually a prequel story to give you guys a little teaser. There will be no spoilers for the final game. So here we are in Trudvang. We're going to begin a new story, and it must be noted that all components here are prototype components, and the game is in the middle of development. All components are subject to change and approvals. So we're ready to begin the story. We're going to open up our storybook into the first story called The World Bleeds. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
You're not ready.
Let's go and save the world, or not.
So, when we open the story, we will weave a grand tale of a world once in harmony, now slowly becoming disharmonious, and terrible omens are starting to rise. I'm not going to read you the paragraph because it is actually full of foreshadowing and hints, and we'd like you guys to be able to come to those conclusions yourself and use those hints to help you play the story. The first thing that we do is we open up the book into page number 1, and I'm going to read us a story. Here we are.
Read me a story there, Papa Eric.
A woman reaches out, entombed in a wall of ice. A dragon soars above the sea. A hut stands vacant, its door opened in a silent scream. The seer turns and sees you, and pain grips your arm, ripping you from sleep. A black mark sears itself into your flesh, and you know where you must go. There's a little bit of foreshadowing here. All of us have woken up from a dream with a brand on our arm, and we know something has gone wrong. We meet with a seer here in RG, where the game has told us to set up. So it'll tell us here to place our heroes in RG, to place the Loggerworm, which is an old dragon of legend that everybody thought did not exist. Well, there he is.
I'm assuming the giant dragon is probably an ill omen.
I would say so. He's actually the forebear of Ragnarok. We've also added his card over here to the bestiary. The bestiary will show the stats of a monster in combat. The Loggerworm has the wonderful stats of infinite damage and infinite life, and he has a special ability that kills us if he shows up in our space.
I'm thinking we can take it down, okay? I'm seeing our quest objective right now.
He is definitely something to avoid. Then the story continues. Your feet take you on a journey of their own accord. You all arrive almost at the same moment, bearing identical marks. The hut is here, gaping at you, but no longer abandoned. Your mark glows, bidding you all to enter. An old woman rocks slowly from her creaking chair. The seer, but she's very elderly, very frail. So one of the things that the game is going to consistently tell us is we will constantly be meeting NPCs who are going to give us cool quests and missions to go on. One of the important points about Trudvang Legends is that the flavor text is flavor text, but it is also loaded, full of hints, full of foreshadowing, sometimes red herrings. By reading the text, you are actually going to gain insight into the choices that you need to make. We definitely need to pay attention.
Can I read the voice of the seer?
Oh,
I love
please
just
do.
reading as old women.
Go for it.
All right. So, find the hammer, she wheezes, in the abandoned temple, and look for my coven, my sisters. Beware, you have been... She does not finish, breathes her last breath, and her flesh evaporates into ash on an invisible breeze. That was not very nice of her to do. Her bones collapse, a mere pile of remains in the chair. Our first loot. You know of an abandoned temple nearby. You can go there and look for the hammer. You can also travel to Dransvelt and search for the Seer Coven. So it's giving us some options here.
That's right. So now, by reading the text, we're getting an idea that it tells us to put an interest token here in RG and an interest token in Dransvelt. That is associated with these story cards. This is a big part of the game. So it's asking us to search for card number 1 and associate it with interest point A. I'm going to put the abandoned temple here. We're also going to search for the coven, which is story card number 5. I'm going to put it over here. The story deck is a large deck of cards that contains all of the cool micro stories that we are going to engage in. Anytime you need to shuffle, remember, do not turn it over. Let's not spoil our story, but they're conveniently labeled here anytime you need to search through them. So, it looks like we have choices already, and in fact, the book is telling us to stop reading right now until you find further instructions. So now we're going to play the game as normal. Generally speaking, in a story in Trudvang, the story will always start. It will tell you how to set up. It will give you narrative hints. It will put interest tokens on the map, associated cards. One of the other really cool things about this game is you will also have the possibility of previous games that you have played will have an impact on the board. So there will be other things going on that you can see from stories past. If we have to change anything about the world, it will tell us to put the cards into the pockets here. I put these in here for the purposes of our demo before we started. So the first thing you do, what you do every round, is you go through a series of phases. Now, as you notice that there are several pockets here on the board that will, more phases will be added later. For now, first thing we're going to do is travel to figure out where we want to go, what interest points do we want to visit. The second point is discover, and we're going to interact with those. So for now, we have to decide, do we want to stay here and look at, go for the hammer? Or B, do we want to go to Dronveld and investigate the Coven?
Well, I mean, we're already here, and hammers are pretty cool, right?
Hammers are pretty cool. So, let's go. So we've traveled. We're not going to travel, either one of us. The second thing we're going to do is discover. When you discover, you will interact with any point of interest on the map. Both point of interest tokens and monsters are there to be interacted with. There's only this, so we're going to go to the abandoned temple. While they're on the point of interest map, you can read these anytime because they will give you little narrative hints of where you want to go.
So, for example, the abandoned temple. This desolate temple, so ancient even the stone stands rotting, holds the mysterious hammer you seek. So we're interacting with this, so we get to now
flip it. Yep.
Cool. You find a group of zealots guarding the ruins. As you approach, they remove their cowls and you see that they are undead. You must fight them to proceed. Place 1 Draugr per player in this region. If you defeat them all, read card 2.
So this one started the combat. So normally when you interact with points of interest, you do put the card away, but this one stays in play, so we're going to leave it here. And it added 2 more Draugrs, 1 per player, right to the region. So we now have another point of interest, but we have to fight them immediately. Now we're going to figure out how combat works. In combat, combat is played over a series of rounds. Every round you're going to determine whether you want to retreat or whether you want to attack. Of course, attacking is, you're going to attack to try to get rid of the monsters and not die yourself. Retreat is if you feel like you can't handle the combat and you need to get out of there. Combat will go on round after round after round until either one of us dies, all the enemies die, or we are away from the combat.
All right. And so what is the side effects of any of us dying?
Of course, if any of us die, the game is over and we get a bad ending to the story. We want a good ending to the story, so let's not die.
Sounds like a general life plan. Good.
So before we start, we're going to look at our character sheets here. Vulgar has a rusty axe with some fire attacks. He can bash and he can block. And every character has a number of runes in a bag, which we're going to be pulling from. Every character has a slightly different mix of runes, and so Vulgar is specialized in fire and earth, and he has some demonic runes.
All right, my dim walker, Lydana here, she specializes in doing some holy magic here, such as Holy Light, extra effective against Draugr, so this is a good combat.
Yep.
And then my legendary rusty staff weapon.
So, if we decide we're not going to retreat because we want to fight, we want to finish them off, so we're going to draw runes. Now, all players in a combat are going to draw runes one at a time, and then we must assign them to one of our attacks. If we can't, it's going to be a failure, and you will get 3 of those before your combat round is nullified, and ouch, you're only going to take damage. So, let's draw one at a time. Here we go. I drew a demonic rune. Demonic rune cannot be assigned to anything. It automatically fails. Whoops.
It's a good start. I drew a water rune, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my Holy Light, getting that charged up and ready to go.
That's great. So these Holy Light has 2 attacks, which can take any number of any type of rune, and if you fill it up, you get to get that attack.
Yep, 1 damage, but a bonus damage against Draugrs, so that's what we're going for here.
Right. Now, Draugrs have 2 life and they have 2 attack. So if we manage to do 2 damage, you can actually eliminate a Draugr before they fight back. Pretty good. I want to stop here. If we have to decide whether we want to continue drawing or whether we want to stop. If any of us gets 3 failures, it cancels our entire round of our entire attack. All of our attacks are nullified, and we only resolve the failures. So there's a lot of risk management here to go. I think I'm okay. I'm going to continue.
All right, same.
I drew a fire.
Same, fire rune.
All right. I could assign it to my bash, or I could assign it to Rusty Axe. I can go for 1 damage now, or save up for 3 damage later. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, because I've triggered 1 instance of my Holy Light, which is enough to take out one of these Draugrs.
Okay, I'm going to take the safe route. I'm going to lock in 1 damage. Because that can combine with your Rusty Staff to do the other.
Legendary Rusty Staff.
Legendary. Well, we're going to continue. I drew a Demon Rune. That's failure number 2.
Demon Rune number 1 for me.
Uh-oh.
But that's just a blank slot, so I'm a little okay.
Now I've actually hit the failure rune. Now if I hit, which means that when this fight resolves, I'm going to activate the failure effect of the Draugr, which is dealing 1 damage. That's in addition to all the combat damage you're going to deal to us. I'm at 2.
Right, and so you're at 2. If we get 1 more here, that's going to cause 1 negative effects aside from just the failure here, which is already bad enough.
Right, so not only
skulls are never good.
Not only do I not get this, but with Skull, I'm going to activate the Skull effect, which is to corrupt 1, which means I'm going to add a Demon Rune to my bag. That's really bad. I'm going to stop so I can lock in that 1 damage.
So this is the first combat of the game. We don't really want to get some extra corruptions being added into our bag here.
Agreed.
Okay, all right, so I'll stop then as well. I'm dealing enough here to take out 1.
Okay, so we resolve now resolve. We resolve our attacks, so I'm actually going to deal 1 damage, which is not quite enough to kill the Draugr. You need 2 to kill, and damage does not persist.
So it's all in just 1 go or nothing at all, right?
That's right.
Okay, well, all right, in that case then, I still dealt at least my 2, so, you know, come on. All right.
So the Draugr is dead. Now we do have to resolve our failures. I'm going to take 1 damage from the Draugr, and all of our runes will go back into the bag.
Well, specifically, you're taking 1 damage from the Draugrs, a failure effect there. Right. Now we're actually getting attacked by the things.
That's right. We resolved our attack. Now the monsters are going to attack back. Every monster is going to deal their full damage to our party. Draugrs deal 2, so we have to decide how, since we're together, we have to decide how we're going to split that 2 damage.
I mean, we're both at 9, so I figured 1 each would be good.
That's fine with me.
Sure.
So, now we continue, next round. Now we have to decide whether we want to retreat or whether we want to continue. I think we're good. Let's continue.
All right.
Ah, drew a fire.
I drew a Demon Rune, so not off to a good start here.
Okay. Careful. We'll draw again. Fire.
Drew another Demon Rune.
Well, I dealt 3.
Okay. So I'm on my 2nd failure. I'm not contributed a huge amount, and I'm taking, well, when that resolves.
You're going to take 1 extra. Now, I actually saved up here. I did 2 damage. I'm going to do 3 damage because I saved up. Sometimes the fates are with you. So, a good idea to stop. We'll stop. I'll resolve. This guy's dead. Ciao.
1 failure, 1 failure for me, which is going to hit me for a little bit of damage, but okay, that's fine.
We put our things away. Now, the combat is over. We're each going to get experience for the combat being over, which we'll spend later at the end of the session. Now that we've finished the Draugr, we're actually going, the card tells us we get to reveal card number 2.
I mean, what's killing a bunch of enemies without getting some loot for it, right?
That's right. Card number 2.
Oh, we have a choice. All right. Your mark begins to glow, brightening with proximity to the hammer. One of you must wield it and choose. Imbue it with the power of fire or imbue it with the power of water. Then flip this card.
Oh, cool. I mean, the mark on our hand. That was the thing we referred to at the beginning of the story.
And you know, you killed it, so you can go ahead and take the hammer. Plus, hammers are cool, but I'm fine with my legendary rusty staff.
Legendary rusty staff. All right, so I have to make this choice before I flip. So I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go for a water, since I already have a fire weapon, so I'm going to go for a water weapon. Gripping the hammer in your hands, your mark flares brightly, burning your arm. Ow! All right.
That's that hot water.
Oh, whoa. Take 1 corruption. So I now have to take a demon rune and put it in my bag. Now, my odds of failing are actually going to go up. That's no good. If I chose fire, which I didn't, so I can ignore that, but I chose water, so I add a water rune to my bag, and I get to take card number 4 and remove this interest point from the game.
So we've done our first little quest right here, and already we've changed your character to make him a little bit more water adept, but also slightly more evil, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit. I take the black hammer, which is a new water weapon. It deals with, for 2 water runes, I can deal 1 damage and heal 1, which is good. Nice little self-healing. And you'll notice that from now on, I will, at the beginning of every story, I'll add an extra water rune to my bag, which is good, balances out the demon runes. Put this off to the side since I can only hold 1 weapon. So we solved that. It's great.
Cool, loot.
Now, we finished the round, so we're going to go back to the travel phase. The travel phase, we're going to since we need to get over here, each of us needs to cross a border. So I'm going to go here.
At this point, I could decide I'm going to wander off somewhere else, but this is the start of our journey. We only have 1 more point of interest, so best to keep there.
And the dragon's over there. Be careful.
Yeah, I'm going to move away from the dragon, which is more convenient since this is also, again, further away from that thing.
Right. So since we crossed a border, we're now actually going to draw a travel card. Every time somebody crosses a border for any reason, you draw a travel card for each player, unless we go together, which we draw 1.
So these are like those cool little random events that just happen as we're going around?
That's right. And the thing is, with the travel deck, it is going to modify over the course of the story as we based on the choice that we made.
Okay.
Draw the travel card. The dragon moves. Move the dragon to Soy. He's moving closer to us because he likes us. I remember the story saying something about the dragon being the forebear of Ragnarok if he gets to the north. Let's end this.
Yeah, like I said, kill the unkillable. It's an easy goal.
So we're now in Dronveld. Now we do our discover phase. We're going to interact with point number...
The Coven. The dead seer tasked you with finding her coven. Flip. More cool reading. Okay, so this one has a rune on it. What does this mean?
So the runes, if any card you have, you see that has a special rune on it, there is text in the story card that you do not read until the relevant rune comes up. You will see the rune on a story card. So since we got that, it says you talk to the seer leader. 1 player must corrupt 1 and add card 11 to Dronveld, and then flip the storybook and go to paragraph 2. Okay. Can you please take the corruption?
I suppose since you're getting a little too evil, let's balance out the party evil.
Let's do that. There is a demon rune for you. And now we're going to permanently add card 11 to Dronveld. Now this is a story card. One of the things that will constantly happen in Trudvang is we will be our actions will be changing the world permanently. So we've added the fountain to Dronveld, and during the discover phase we can make a water test to heal 2 damage. That's great. Dronveld is now a great healing location for us.
And that's not just for this story. This is for any stories that we play in the future as well.
That's right. For any story, we've permanently made Dronveld great.
Fantastic. I love this. We're making the world a better place.
I agree. Let's hope the game doesn't do anything worse. So now we're going to go into paragraph 2.
The Coven High Priestess recognizes the mark. It's ancient, part of a northern cult in a forgotten invasion over half a millennium ago. After the invasion was shattered, the cult formed in the Great Iron Tooth and Manjor regions. If more information exists, it's there. The Coven will provide better equipment for traveling, but only if you swear to bring back any information you uncover about your mark. And then we have some cool other stuff that's happening here. So we get some loot, we get some more interest points here.
So yeah, then now that we have a choice, we can go to the Iron Tooth, or we can go to Manjord. So,
sorry, all dictated by the story page here. And then we get to some cool equipment to choose from our class among cards 100 to 103 in the story cards.
So we get to add. Oh, look at this! I see a fire split axe. Now, I'm actually going, if you don't mind, I'm going to take the steel dagger. It's a smaller weapon. and it uses different runes, and it's also corrupt. I'm going to take it.
All right, so looking at the options here, I can get some additional fire, some additional wind, or some additional air options here, depending on the weapons I pick. So even if I'm not going to use these constantly, they're still adding runes to my bag to help me customize my guy out a little bit more, right?
That's right.
Okay, so I'll take the staff here since it's going to give me some more air, which is going to help me trigger all of my abilities just in general, just for having that on me.
That's right.
Cool. All right.
And yeah, you notice you're starting to get more specialized in air.
Yes.
Since we found the Lost Seers of the Coven, this card's going to stay in play until we spot either one of these two runes in any further story card. They want us to bring news back to them, so we're going to leave it out here. So now we know where we need to travel. We might as well go.
Yeah, the world is expanding.
All right, I'm going to move to RG. We might want to split up and cover more ground.
Sure, I mean, we're brave heroes, right? So I'm going to cross over here into the Dark Woods and make my way over toward the Great Iron Tooth.
Okay, now we cross two borders. We're going to draw two travel cards. First, uh-oh. Hunted. We're going to add card number 10 to the end of the turn order.
What did you do, Eric?
I don't know. Let's find out. I'm going to take card number 10 from the story deck. And this is a card that is actually added to the turn order. There's a darkness phase now for the rest of the game.
What?
Forever.
What did you do, Eric?
Well, we'll find out at the end of our movement.
Okay, so for my travel, we have the dragon moves. Move the dragon to Filges.
What?
He's coming after you. I'm fine with this.
All right. Do remember, the dragon kills us. We've resolved both travel cards. So traveling separately does let us cover more ground, but there is more risk of travel cards happening.
Okay, so we've resolved travel. Now we would go to discover, but there's nothing for us to discover because there's no points of interest. So now we're moving to that cool darkness thing that you happen to just, do for us. So what does it do?
So we go to the end. Here's the darkness phase. We will draw one rune from the bag. So I'm going to draw one. Is a wind rune. We're going to move all monsters that are in a space with a wind rune toward the nearest hero. So you notice that every space here on the board actually has a rune on it. So this Dragon, the Great White, is going to move toward you. And look, he created a new point of interest. So let's talk about point of interest real quick. Every region could have easily multiple points of interest, which monsters count. When you end here and you want to discover, you will choose whether you want to interact with the monster or interact with the interest point. Warning, spoiler alert, if you don't interact with the monster, they're going to punch you at the end of a round.
So you literally pulled like the worst thing you could have there to stop me from the Great Iron Tooth.
For you gave me the dragon.
All right, fair trade.
All right, so now since you have a combat to deal with, I'm just going to go to the Dark Forest of Manjord. And I'm going, of course, I have to prove my worth making a group strength 4 test. So if I pass, I read box number 1. That will, of course, give me access to special text in the storybook. I don't get to read this until I pass this strength test. One of the things that you'll do often in Trudvang is you'll be making tests beyond combat, which you'll be drawing 5 runes from your bag and seeing how many successes you can get. I need 4 successes, and strength for me is any of these runes: earth, air, wind, and fire. So I will draw 4. I'll draw 5, and if I succeed.
So it's actually way better that you made this strength test as well, because my character is only a success on earth and water. So
that's right.
You're twice as good at me as being strong.
Right. So I drew. Unfortunately, my demonic past has come to haunt me, and I've gotten 4 demon runes. I've only got 2 successes. I needed 4. What we could have done is done that test together and pooled our successes together. We'll try it again next round.
But we split the party.
We split the party, and maybe I need to run away from the dragon.
Okay, so we finished up a part of our session here, the first story that we've done towards shaping our own unique world of Trudvang here. We have a couple of quests over here to finish up, bring some information back to the Seers. We have this big dragon that we kind of have to deal with, so what is this all leading up to in the end?
That's a good question. So this is actually only the prequel. the core box has 30 different stories that we are going to continue making these choices, hopefully figure out how to beat this guy, and continue shaping the world and get us to an ending, a final ending that we want. How you continue, what kind of legends you tell, what kinds of legends you make, it's up to you, it's up to your choices. Good luck. And that completes our gameplay video for Trudvang Legends. Thank you for watching.
And be sure to like and subscribe to us on all social media channels. Back our Kickstarter today.